Imagine your worst memory, the one moment in your life you would give anything to erase. The heartbreak, the accident, the humiliation. It plays on a loop in your head, haunting your sleep. Now, what if I told you there is a pill that can delete the pain of that memory forever? This isn't science fiction. It's not eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. It is happening right now in labs. Scientists have discovered a biological edit button for the human brain. For decades, we thought memory was permanent, like writing in ink on stone. Once it dries, it stays. We were wrong. Memory isn't stone. It's more like a Word document on a computer screen. And every time you open that document to read it, you inadvertently make it vulnerable to hacking. This discovery is changing everything we know about PTSD, phobias, and even addiction. But it raises a terrifying question. If we can edit our pain, are we also editing our soul? Today we are looking at the drug Propranolol and the science of memory reconsolidation. We'll meet the rogue neuroscientist who challenged the textbooks and the patients who claim their lives were saved. But we'll also ask, without our trauma, are we still the same person? Can you really delete the ghost without destroying the haunted house? Let's open the file. To understand how to break a memory, you first have to understand how a memory is built. For the longest time, scientists believed in the consolidation theory. Think of your brain like a library. When you learn something new, it's a fresh book. At first, the ink is wet. The book is fragile. You can easily smudge the pages. This is short-term memory. But give it a few hours and the ink dries. Once the book is filed on the shelf, it is consolidated. It is permanent. According to this old theory, you can read the book 1,000,000 times, but you can never change what's written. This was the dogma. It meant that if you had a traumatic memory, it was physically locked in your brain structure. Therapy could help you cope with the book, but it couldn't rewrite the ending. But then, in the late 90s, a few rebels started noticing something weird. They realized that every time you pull a memory off the shelf, the ink becomes wet again. It enters a labile state. It becomes unstable. For a few hours, it is vulnerable. You have to save the file again. This is called reconsolidation. This is a survival mechanism. It allows us to update our knowledge. If you learned berries are good, but then one makes you sick, you need to edit the memory to berries are bad. Without reconsolidation, we would never learn from new mistakes. We'd be robots with outdated software. So the question became, if the memory is wet, can we wipe it clean? Can we interrupt the save process? To do that, we need to block the chemicals that the brain uses to write the ink. Specifically, we need to block adrenaline and protein synthesis. And we already had a drug that did exactly that. It was sitting in every pharmacy in America. Propranolol, a simple blood pressure medication. It blocks beta-adrenergic receptors. It stops physical panic. Actors use it for stage fright. Surgeons use it for steady hands. But nobody thought to use it for trauma. Until a guy named Karim Nader had a wild idea. Meet Karim Nader. Not your typical neuroscientist. He looks more like he plays bass in a grunge band. It's the year 2000 at NYU. The memory is permanent dogma is law. Nader is curious. He wonders if memories physically change when we remember them. He designs an experiment with rats. It's classic conditioning. Tone, shock, tone, shock. The rat learns that the tone means pain. Eventually, just playing the tone makes the rat freeze in terror. It has a traumatic memory. Now for the twist. Nader plays the tone to trigger the memory. But at that exact moment, he injects a chemical that stops protein synthesis into the rat's amygdala. The next day, he plays the tone again. The rat does nothing. It's chilling. It's grooming itself. The fear is gone. Nader had erased the trauma, but he kept the memory of the tone. The rat knew what the sound was. It just didn't care anymore. This was huge. He published the paper. The scientific community went nuts. People called him crazy. They said he damaged the rat's brains. But he repeated it, again and again. It was real. The memory had to be unstable to be erased.
Solved it.
Enter Dr. Alain Brunet, a clinical psychologist dealing with human trauma. He saw Nader's rat study and thought, can I do this with people? But you can't inject chemicals into a human brain. That's unethical. Brunet realized he didn't need a needle. He could use a pill, Propranolol. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It blocks the same proteins. It was the perfect candidate. So, Brunet developed Reconsolidation therapy. The protocol is deceptively simple. Step 1. Take the pill. Wait 60 minutes for it to hit your system. Step 2. Reactivate the memory. You have to write it down, read it aloud. This is the hardest part. You have to open the wound while the painkiller is working. Step 3. Wait. The drug blocks the adrenaline from restabilizing the emotional part of the memory. You do this once a week for 6 weeks. The results? They were staggering. Brunet tested this on PTSD patients. One patient, a truck driver who hit a pedestrian, couldn't sleep for years. After the treatment, he said, "I remember the accident, but it feels like watching a movie. It feels distant, grainy, like it happened to someone else." The memory of the event, declarative memory, is still there. But the memory of the feeling, emotional memory, is gone. Propranolol stripped the emotional tag off the file. Then came the ultimate test, the 2015 Paris terrorist attacks. Hundreds of survivors were traumatized. Brunet flew to Paris to help. He treated over 300 people using the Paris Memo protocol. Many were skeptical. They thought it was impossible to heal that kind of horror. But the data held up. 70% of patients went into remission. Remission means they no longer met the criteria for PTSD. They were cured. One survivor said, "I didn't forget the attack, but I stopped reliving it." This is the crucial distinction. It's not amnesia, it's detachment. Hollywood gets it wrong. You don't lose the information, you lose the sting. It works for heartbreak too. Brunet tried it on people with romantic betrayal. People who were obsessed with their exes, checking Instagram every hour. After 6 sessions, they said, "I know we broke up. I just don't care anymore." This sounds like a miracle, and for many, it is. We finally have a way to treat the unspeakable, trauma that talks therapy can't reach. Think about first responders, soldiers, victims of violent crime. We could essentially vaccinate them against PTSD. Imagine a soldier taking a pill before battle, or a paramedic taking one after a horrific shift. Could we eradicate PTSD from the human experience? But hold on. Let's look at the flip side, because there is always a flip side. Pain serves a purpose. It teaches us. It warns us. If you erase the pain of a bad breakup, do you learn not to date toxic people? If a soldier feels no trauma from killing, do they become a remorseless killing machine? And what about justice? Victims need their anger to fight for justice. If a rape victim takes the pill, will they lose the emotional drive to testify in court? Will a jury believe them if they aren't crying? If they tell the story like a grocery list? Our legal system relies on emotional authenticity. This drug breaks that. Then there is the question of identity. We are the sum of our memories. Our scars make us who we are. If you sand them off, are you still you? Or are you a sanitized, Instagram filter version of yourself? Some ethicists call this cosmetic neurology, like a nose job for your character. Is it cheating at life? Is suffering essential to the human condition? Dr. Brunet argues, nobody says we need physical pain during surgery. Why do we need mental pain? If you break your leg, we give you morphine. If you break your mind, we tell you to grow from it. That's a double standard. Suffering isn't noble, it's just suffering. But where do we draw the line? Trauma? Yes. Breakups? Maybe. Embarrassing moments? What if you could delete the memory of a boring movie so you can watch it again? What if you could delete the guilt of doing something bad? This technology is here, it's cheap, it's accessible, and it's going to get more powerful. We are standing on the edge of a world where memory is a choice, not a destiny. For the millions suffering from PTSD, this is a lifesaver. It is freedom. For them, the past is a prison. Propranolol is the key. But for the rest of us, we need to be careful with the delete button. Our bad memories are the guardrails of our personality. They keep us on the road. If we remove them, we might drive off the cliff. The goal shouldn't be a spotless mind. It should be a healed mind. We need to integrate our trauma, not just delete it. But knowing that we can turn down the volume, that changes everything. It means we are not slaves to our biology. We are the architects of our own minds. Science has given us the chisel. Now we have to decide what to carve. If you could take the pill, would you? Which memory would you erase? Or would you keep the pain because it made you who you are? Let me know in the comments below. This is a conversation we need to have. If you found this fascinating, hit subscribe. We explore the future of the human mind every week.